Welcome to Super Movie Brothers. Let's start the show.
This is a podcast on the Podfix Network. You can check out more shows like it at podfixnetwork.com.
Welcome to Super Movie Brothers, episode 145, part 2, technically, because me and Jay and my wife Lauren recorded our Super Movie Brothers movie cocktail for Game of Thrones, or Game of Thrones cocktail. It's a special episode where
It's a special episode, let's just say that.
Yeah, where we break down the entire episode of Winterfell, which is season 8, episode 1 of Game of Thrones. If you're not a Game of Thrones fan, you skipped that and you just came straight to this, and then what's wrong with you? Because a lot of effort went into that. I don't know if you know this, but those cocktails aren't easy. And
delicious.
And delicious. So, yeah, there is that other episode that is 100% Game of Thrones themed. But Lauren sent me a meme this week, and it is me. Like this meme was made for me and other nerds like me. I am Chris Pratt standing in the raptor pen with his arms up, stopping 3 raptors coming in on him. One raptor represents Star Wars, the Rise of Skywalker. The other one represents Avengers Endgame. And the third one represents Game of Thrones. Here I am, as a nerd, as a guy who just loves all 3 of these things and is geeking out over all of them.
That is so fucking well put.
Simultaneously.
That is true.
I am just like, please don't destroy my brain. Don't kill me like that. And that's exactly how I feel. I'm torn.
Because this week was...
It was massively...
A massive week.
Massively geeky.
Massive week.
I originally had told you, like, I only want to do the Game of Thrones episode this week. Nothing else exists this week. Game of Thrones is the shit. That's all there is. And then Marvel went ahead and announced a shit ton of news, and then Star Wars went ahead and had its fucking celebration and gave us so much. So this episode, me and Jay are going to do a little bit of a discussion. What have you been up to? How you been? How do you do? Tip of the hat.
Yeah.
Then we're going to get into our news. We're going to skip beers because we did a beer review in Game of Thrones episode, so we got some Amagong beers to review over there, so there's no beer reviews here, but we also have our trailer park breakdown of Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, the official title, which wasn't even known until the minute that this trailer dropped. God, they know how to tease a dick so fucking well. It's so crazy. But before we get into all of that, Jay, what were you up to this week, man?
It's been 1 week since you looked at me. Got your head to the sides and I'm angry.
It's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Same old shit, man. I mean, obviously golf.
Same old shit, you slide dog. You went on a date on Saturday
little
night.
Friday golf, but obviously what was any different for me was going on a date.
You did.
And I had a lovely first date, and it was great. So we had a great time. It was just a dinner date. It was brief. She had to get up early in the morning, so it wasn't anything too crazy. And I had time to shoot over to your place because you were having a bonfire party, and that was a lot of fun.
What dating app did you meet her on?
Bumble.
Oh, Bumble.
The day before it expired, because I deleted it, and the subscription was going to cancel like the day after we connected, so it was kind of a funny little thing. And
for those of you that don't know, Bumble is the Sadie Hawkins of dating apps. It is where Jay puts his profile up, his pictures up, and he cannot message girls or do anything other than wait for them to message him.
It's like a girl's version of Tinder.
Right, no pressure Tinder.
Right, no pressure.
No pressure Tinder. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you guys had a good time, and I'm happy about that.
I hate those sites, so I usually give them like a week or two, and I just delete them all the time. And got lucky with this one, and we'll see how it goes. But again, like I've told you guys before, I'm trying not to talk about my dating life on our regular.
Patreon episodes only.
Pretty much a Patreon episode only kind of thing. Just because I just don't want casual ears just chiming in whenever they want to hear about all of my personal biz.
That's right. Patreon's close friends, and I mean, anyone who joins us on Patreon, we consider close friends
and loved ones, of course.
Yeah.
Because if they're, Patreons, they're loved ones now to me.
Absolutely. And then you did mention, we did have a bonfire.
We had a bonfire. It was a lot of fun.
Impromptu. Like I'm just sitting there on Saturday.
But thinking about it, I feel like Lauren had such a good time. I feel like of all the bonfires that I recall, she just seemed to have or be more engaged and have so much more laughs and have so much more fun this time.
For once, we weren't doing the thing where, like, when we have a bonfire, like usually when we have a bonfire, I'm not saying we cater it, but like we do usually put food out for people, and we do usually, like, I usually make a cocktail for people, one of the movie cocktails I usually make and serve the people. We usually go out and buy wines. This time we came up with the idea of just like, not idea, but like we were just like, oh, let's do a cocktail. Let's do a bonfire. Let's do it. And I was like, let's have some of our friends over, and we just put it out there to some people, and it was mostly no's up until like 7 p.m. and everyone's like, yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there. So like we were like, oh, people are coming, we got to do something. So like I was like, well, I guess I'll buy beer, like enough for people. So I went out and got some Yingling Golden Pills, which is delicious.
Not crazy about it.
I like it a lot. I think it's slightly hopped, and it's just it's a super crisp, just super drinkable sipping beer. Like
maybe after the second beer I was just kind of like
So, so it was, and then anyone else who wanted anything special, bring it yourself. My friend Eric came over, and Eric and I have only ever hung out really at work, so having him there was awesome. One of the cool things was like he shows up, and his wife goes, "Oh my God, you look so familiar," as she's talking to my wife, and my wife's like, "I have a twin sister," and it's like this weird thing that like twins hear this all the time, where it's like, "I know you from somewhere," and it's like, "No, you know me from nowhere, bitch. You know my twin." And that's exactly what it was. Turns out Lauren's twin sister Jeanette works with her, so that was a cool little like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon that we had.
That
there,
is kind of funny.
It's like me and Eric are friends. We had no idea that my wife and his wife have some sort of knowledge of each other. So that was kind of cool. And then we played, of course, as always, Drunk Jenga, and you came so close to winning Cards Against Humanity. So close.
Early lead. Took the early lead,
and Lauren destroyed you.
It was a lot of fun.
It's very rare that Lauren is the funniest person in a room, but she pulled it off.
She was firing on all cylinders. Yeah. I loved it. It was really good to see. And
it was a good time. And then we had a super deep, nerdy discussion with my cousin Fran in regards to Game of Thrones
heavy.
And Star Wars. Like
and when it hit in the Star Wars, I was like, all right, I got to go.
It's like 3 a.m. hits, and
I had no idea he was that deep into it as well. And he was asking some big questions,
dude,
and I'm like, this is beyond me. I'm gonna go now.
He is super like subdermal nerdy. Like on the surface, you're like, this is just a dude, and then like we knew from our
well, he's very smart, so he's got a good brain.
We knew from our Friendsgiving when he was playing video games with us and stuff like that, when he was here in this room, and I remember he won one of the contests, and I was trying to give him one of our digital downloads, and he's like, no, I already own that, and I was like, dude, are you like a movie geek? He goes, super huge movie geek. He's like, I do nothing but watch movies. He's like, I don't even watch TV. He's like, I just digest and watch movies. And I was like, no idea. Like,
we are related.
Yeah, grew up with you and I had no idea. It's super cool. But yeah, we had a.
I think, but in his world of his boys, it reminds me of some of my friends. Like, it's just it's not something you talk about, unless you really become like.
So what I realized was
buddy with him.
He's reserved nerd because he has no one to nerd out with. He has no one to geek out with.
Right.
So like when he's here, it's just like, this guy doesn't judge me for this. This guy gets it, and I can nerd out with him. It's super fun. Love hanging out with my cousin Fran. But it was a great time here having a bonfire at the house. Love it. It's the beginning of spring, so many more.
Absolutely. I knew it was going to be a horrible day the next day. It was going to be raining and miserable. I was like, ugh.
So can I tell you how old I am? Here's how old I am.
Okay.
I got a new lawnmower on.
Oh, jeez.
I got a new lawnmower last week.
We're going there.
I was super excited to use it. I have the Tesla of lawnmowers. Like,
Do you?
I have an electric lawnmower. I've been using a gas lawnmower for the past 2 years. I
hope they've improved over the years, because my grandfather bought one ages ago, and it was dog shit.
Dude, this thing is amazing. It is a mulcher, which is just like my last one, self-propelled, and it runs on like 180 watt battery, I want to say. I think it's what it is, but it's
well, that would help for your backyard because you got a bit of a hill.
Yeah, it's a big old big old battery, and man, it cut like a dream. Like the last one used to get choked. It used to get like choked up and stuff like that if I ran it through high wet grass. High wet grass on Saturday, mowed the whole lawn like it was nothing. Even had so much time after I mowed the lawn that I went and I cleaned out the shed. Like I reorganized and cleaned out the shed.
Well,
like,
hot damn.
Right? Like super excited. If you are like me, you get super geeked out over the fact that you just got a new yard toy and you were playing with it. It was good. It was good.
I hear you.
Oh shit, man.
I mean, I was doing a lot of landscaping and edging and mulching and all that bullshit. I mean, my back was sore over this weekend.
That's what I realized when I was done, and I was just like, Lauren's just like, we went to dinner. We went to a hibachi after I was done with my yard work and stuff like that. And she was like, "Are you all right?" And I was like, "My back hurts." And she's like, "Why?" And I was like, "I don't know. Like I'm tired. Like I'm worn out."
Oh.
And she's like, "You're not used to doing yard work. Like you haven't done yard work.
Springtime. Yeah,
you haven't done yard work in three, 4 or 5 months. Like you haven't done any manual labor in a while." So like,
it's true.
Now you're back into it, and your body's like, "Why?"
I think I slept for like 9 hours after that day.
Like,
I was worn the hell out.
Yeah, my body's just like it's just blown out. You remember that scene in Creed, like where he has that first fight where he wins against that guy, and like he's like, "So what are we gonna do next?" And he's like, "Whatever you want to do." And then they wind up back at Rocky's house, and he passes out.
Yeah,
on the couch. That's what it was. Where it's like, "What are we gonna do? We're gonna have a bonfire. We're gonna go out to dinner. We're gonna have some drinks. We're gonna have some."
Yeah.
He just fall asleep. That's yard work week 1. All right, man. That's it. That's what we're up to.
And
this
we're
week.
old.
Let's get into what are you watching?
What are you watching?
What are we watching?
I think he's trying to watch some illegal channel.
Always watching.
No, go past this part. In fact, never play this again.
All right, Joe, what'd you get down to watching this week, man? What do you want to tell everybody about? What was it that you watched that is just so worth discussing?
Okay, well, first, I'll just get off the bad news. What's worth not watching is Hellboy. The first still, remember the first still? It was a beautiful shot, and I got really excited about the movie and the prospects of it. And then the trailer dropped. Not so much. It wasn't the worst thing. It wasn't the best thing.
Well, so here's the thing with that trailer. Like, me and you even discussed doing a trailer park for it, and we both just went, nah, it's a fart in the wind. We know this movie's going to suck. Based on that trailer, we knew the first trailer. We knew this movie was going to be shit. So we never wanted to discuss it in the show because we knew it was nothing that either you or I were interested in. And it's strange because I'm a Hellboy fan. Like I've read a few of
the fact that I went to the movie theater to see this, I know, believe me,
I went to
one of those things.
I read a few BPRD comics and I'm not like a huge fan, don't get me wrong, but like I really liked the first Guillermo del Toro Hellboy movie. Mainly for the practical effects, that use of it and stuff like that. And the second one, I hate the story, but I love the practical effects use. So like when I saw this and I saw David Harbour in the making, I was like, huh, good job. And that's about it. Like
yeah,
David Harbour looks good. He feels right. And everything else around him seems wrong.
Everything. So he had his grasp of what he wanted the character to be. I thought the written dialogue for him, or maybe improv for the comedy moments, sometimes hit and sometimes felt forced. Overall, it was just so fucking corny and CGI heavy. It just felt like one of those lame studio movies that was just thrown out there for a cash grab, and it's essentially what it was. And I walked out of the movie, Dave, honestly, after a little over an hour. I felt like I was wasting my time because this movie is 100% not mine.
To steal a line from our friends Duty and the gang over at Shaken Out Nerd, is it worth the 15% on the old fried green Rotten Tomatoes? Like, is it that bad?
Yeah.
It is that bad.
Yeah.
It's worse
for me.
It's worse
to me, because obviously I walked out.
It's worse than Fan Four Stick, the most recent Fantastic Four movie.
I never even gave that a shot.
Yeah. Is it worse than, let's say, Underworld, Blood Wars? Like, is it worse than that? Like,
it's in that world. Put it that way.
Okay.
It's something in that vein.
It's bad.
It's just bad. Oh, you know what it reminded me of? The Luke Evans Dracula movie.
Right.
That's what it really reminded me of, in that corny CGI heavy
movie that was so bad that that it was supposed to relaunch the Universal Monsters universe, and I went, nope, not this one. The Mummy with Tom Cruise. That'll relaunch it.
That might actually be better than this Hellboy.
What about Venom?
Venom's better than this.
Okay, yeah.
It's like an insult for the viewer,
right? And honestly, it's 122 minutes.
And I was seeing some people roll their eyes in their seats, and I was like in the IMAX show, and obviously I have an AMC list, so like, you know, I feel like most of the people that I was watching it with, this was the first viewing. It was Thursday, 7 p.m. You know, so they're either Uber fans or they're like me. We have this, it's pretty much a free movie for us, and I got nothing going on that night. Why not just go check it out? And it makes sense that they didn't unveil any reviews beforehand.
I hear theaters were empty come Saturday, so
I believe it. So other than that, I revisited one of my favorite indie movies over the last few years called American Honey, and this one is written and directed by Andrea Arnold, and she is behind the movie that is an unsung little indie gem called Fish Tank. Now, it stars mostly all unknown people. Meow. The only well-known star is Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
And it follows, you know, a group of young people traveling through the middle America.
Mr. Do It himself.
Yeah. Do it. Just do it.
Anyway.
And they're just selling magazines, and they're just living their lives as careless and unresponsible.
You're recommending this movie?
If you are a Jay's Indie Corner lover and you are a genuine indie movie lover, this is a must-watch. It is nearly 3 hours long, but it is, as far as indie docu kind of style, authentic filmmaking, this is a must-watch because I think it's so well done as far as coordinating a group of almost unknown actors and making them a family.
Except for Shia LaBeouf.
No, he's great in it. They're great.
You said mostly unknown.
I'm sorry. Yes. And also just having the music be such a player into this movie.
I was so sold on like this Jay's Indie Corner little ditty. I was so sold on it. Then you said the dreaded words, 3 hours. It's basically like watching Nympho and Nympho 2 like back to back.
Look,
I don't know.
It's a little bloated. I'm not going to give you. I'll give you that. But I mean, it's still a must watch for that kind of indie style love. I mean, if you like that kind of movies, Jay, definitely watch this.
No, 3 hours long.
It's not for everybody. I know that, but I'm just saying. If you are that kind of person,
you know what's 3 hours long.
You will really appreciate this movie.
You know what's 3 hours long,
and it's free on Amazon Prime.
Will be for everybody. It's 3 hours long. It'll be for everybody. It's perfect.
It's 2 hours 45 minutes. All right.
Avengers Endgame, 3 hours 2 minutes. Everyone's gonna love it. No one will complain about the length of that.
I know.
People watch this movie. I don't even remember what it's called.
This is the opposite of Endgame.
It's the opposite of Endgame. It's the beginning game, and it never gets past the beginning. So for me, man, this week, I actually, because of our top 5 last week when we talked about favorite DC movies, I went back and watched The 300, and I watched V for Vendetta, dude. Like, yeah, loved that movie.
I have those DVDs.
Still love it.
Check them out.
Still love it. But really, the thing that I checked out was I went back to a time when a man that both me and you both love, respect, and hate at the same time. I watched Ridley Scott's Gladiator. And
wow,
dude, it holds up to this day. Holds up. Those battle scenes are amazing. The cinematography in it is amazing, and
I believe it.
The only thing that really I feel like doesn't hold up is
it's almost 20 years old.
The story is a little cheesy. Like it is. It's a little bit more cheesy than I'd expect, and I was like, oh, movie of the year, maybe not for 2000, maybe not. But
was it Shakespeare in Love that won over that or something?
No, Gladiator won. That was Gladiator.
Okay.
Yeah, Gladiator did win that year. But man, for me, like just watching it, like I was like, dude, like it's extremely visceral, like visceral. But then like it just the story doesn't like it just doesn't hold up. I don't know what it is about it that just it feels very Hollywood. Like it feels very, very Hollywood polished story where like they took no risks with that story whatsoever. And it doesn't feel personal. It doesn't feel like that personal. Like it feels like you're watching a historical event type movie that is a completely made up historical event that never happened. And I just picture Ridley Scott just being like, it doesn't matter. Just make the fucking blood look better. You know?
Make it more savage.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, that's what I feel like. This is my comeback. Don't you understand? Make it look worse. Make it look better. CGI tigers don't hold up either, by the way. Like,
well, CGI in 2000.
But I did watch something else. I watched something on Netflix, a new Netflix movie that came out. And it's called The Silence, and it is a sensory deprivation movie, right? Like Bird Box was like, oh, they can't look at the creature because they'll die, and A Quiet Place was like, you got to be quiet, you know, or the creatures will find you. It's the same thing in The Silence as The Quiet Place. You got to be quiet, or they won't find you. This, Jay, I have to say, I would probably rather finish Hellboy than watch all of The Silence. I'm going to be honest with you. I hated The Silence. I'm watching it, and the creatures don't feel real to me because they don't look like anything that's ever existed in nature before, but they're from Earth, deep inside the Earth, like these ancient creatures. So for me, like the fact that they don't look like anything that ever existed before bothers me in a way. Also, the fact that their story is very derivative of Piranha 3D, where like piranha exist, ancient piranha exist underneath this cave that's underneath a lake, and when the earth cracks from an earthquake or something, they're all released, and it's very much the same as that.
So another safe warning for our listeners: stay away.
Stanley Tucci is barely serviceable in it. I don't buy his acting. I don't buy his emotion of a man who's trying to save.
Well, he's a great actress. He must have known this was garbage and just gave up.
Yeah, and the girl from Sabrina, I honestly don't even remember her name right now. She plays a girl who is recently deaf, but they're like, oh, we can survive this because we know how to be silent, and like that's the crux of the movie. We know how to be silent because we have a deaf daughter, and they keep saying that, but they talk throughout the entire movie. They barely sign at all in the movie. They have these scenes where like they go into a pharmacy at one point to get antibiotics for a character, and inside the pharmacy, the windows are all boarded and the back door was closed, but still the creatures are inside and everyone who is inside is dead. It's a bloodbath inside there. But watching that scene, I went like, okay, how did these creatures get inside? This apocalypse happened so quickly that the windows are boarded up, but we can't make a sound. So how do we board up those windows without making a lot of noise, right? Like it's little things like that where it's like these attention to detail things are completely missed. They're completely missed. And I found myself questioning the movie from the minute it started. And I do feel that maybe I unfairly questioned it a little bit because it's so similar to A Quiet Place. And A Quiet Place already did it so much better than this did that like I was picking this apart from the get-go. But also there's like this society of people that exist in the movie who are like, they're all about the silence. They're led by a reverend and they're after the daughter because she's fertile. And Jay, at that point, it's day 3 or 4 of the apocalypse, and already these people are starting cults and starting like, I was like, it's a little soon, right? Like, how did this mass of people just give up their vestige of hope?
It's just crap filmmaking all around, dude. All around.
It was just shit for the sake of putting something out, like
on Netflix.
Yeah, because
Netflix can get away with shit.
Most of the time, when something's on Netflix or on Amazon Prime, and I know you're already paying for it, I'll tell you to check it out just for the sake of checking it out. Because well,
we try to give them a safe warning.
Right,
like,
it costs nothing but
this
time.
Could be fun for some people, but not for everybody. But
It's fun for no one. I swear to God, this is fun for no one. This movie is just garbage. It is garbage in concept. It's garbage in its script. It's garbage in its execution. The creature designs are terrible. The ending is terrible. The beginning is terrible. Every single character, it's not like they're irredeemable, but they're so poorly acted that no one can get behind anybody. I wished they all died.
Okay. Did you vent long enough?
And I remember Lauren being like, don't put this on before Jay comes over to do the Game of Thrones movie cocktail, because I actually want to watch this movie. Once we started watching it, we were 20 minutes in, and she was like, nah, I don't care. I'm going to go take a shower. I'm going to go. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I don't care. This movie sucks. Like,
good.
So, like, even the average viewer, which is what Lauren is
who it's really kind of geared for, right? It's not geared for us.
Right. She was excited.
It's geared for people like Lauren that would usually get into something like that.
She was excited for this.
Yeah. Right.
And it sucked. And it's just fucking terrible.
Well, stay away, everybody.
All right, Jay.
Let's do it.
The big deal, the whole reason we're recording is because so much news dropped this week. We got to get into our news, man. You all may be wondering, like, man, Super Movie Brothers seems super subdued tonight. We recorded an entire Game of Thrones episode before we're tired. We're dying here.
With some heavy beers and cocktails.
I know, like, it's going for 1 o'clock in the morning. We're still recording about movie news this week, but we got to do the movie news, Jay, because all the news that came out this week, a lot of it from Disney. All this news really comes out of Disney, and most of it stems out of Star Wars Celebration, which occurred over the weekend in Chicago. I watched most of the major panels. I followed the news very heavily. And one of the big things I took away from it was Disney streaming service will be available November 12th at a price point of $6.99 a month.
What?
$6.99 a month for the entire Disney Vault, for multiple Star Wars shows, for multiple Marvel shows, for just so many different things. It's only $6.99 a month. They are looking to be a Netflix killer. Like, I feel like they want to.
They won't be, but they're trying to be.
Right, is what I'm saying.
And of course, they will be doing the same Netflix thing where every year or two they're going to be jacking up the prices little by little.
They're immediately coming out of the gate,
lowballing,
being competitive. Is what I'm saying.
Well, it's cheaper than any other service.
Not to mention, they still own 2/3 of Hulu. On top of that, talk about an empire.
Look,
FCC,
they're not going broke anytime soon.
FCC dropped the ball. This is a monopoly. I am sorry to rule 2 streaming services and 60% of the movie-going crowd.
Guess what? Maybe Disney owns the FCC.
That's a very possible thing. It's true.
That's how the world works.
But that's
the Illuminati taking over the world.
And I'm sorry. I would like to. I would like to tell all those people, those listeners who are against Disney, who are against all this stuff. I would love to tell you, like, I stand resolute with you. You know, I'm sorry. Disney's been doing it well. I've been game for most of what they've put out. And as much as I would like to say, I believe that this is wrong and that this is a monopoly and that everything they're doing is creating this singular vision of entertainment that I don't like. I wish I could tell all you people who think that. But unfortunately, I think they get it right more often than they get it wrong. And they've been killing it over the past 5-6 years. Like, they're destroying it.
Well, we will see. Because now they're going to have a lot more hand in their own projects and
yeah.
But look,
no, they've had deep hands in all their projects. Period. Like, just period.
But I'm thinking this is what okay. They're doing great with their properties. I want to know what they're going to be doing with original stuff, like new stuff. How they're going to do that. That's how I'm going to really critique Disney.
Jay, they've only shown you what they can do with their original stuff. They're recreating stuff that they already made that was original before. Aladdin, The Lion King, Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast. They're just going to remake their classics.
That does not impress me, though, Dave.
It's not impressive, but it's money making.
It's money making, and yes, they're doing well. But again, I will be impressed.
Jay, shareholders
and okay with Disney more if they're able to produce quality original content at least once in a while, Dave.
Shareholders are all that matters, and shareholders are happy because money's being made. Money's being made.
That's the shit that frustrates me.
Yeah.
It's just corporate America right there.
Right, but you look at film and that's exactly what the show is. You look at film as this artistic vision,
And I do.
And the people who are making the films,
And as long as they're able to still make movies like that.
but don't get me wrong, the people who are making the films still feel like you. The people who are behind the cameras, the people who are creating these movies, they still geek out. Like I watched Jon Favreau during Celebration
I get it.
talked for 20 minutes about building a model for the ship from the Mandalorian, building a rig for it, and building like the passing shot so that they could get that shot of a ship in space just right and make it practical. He geeked out over filmmaking for 20 minutes during his panel when people only cared about what is the story of the Mandalorian. But he still took the time to geek out over filmmaking.
And I
The
appreciate that.
People
I do.
working
I
for
know.
Disney,
I know.
making these films, care about the films that you're getting.
They're just getting paid instead of not getting paid.
Exactly.
Right? So,
But the people behind it who are giving them the money to do it, to produce it, they only care about that bottom line, that bottom dollar. And that's exactly what the movie industry has always been since its inception. So
I understand. And that is really happy. I'm happy to hear that. I really am. It's just one of those things where as long as we are able to have access to all kinds of different kind of cinema, foreign original content, independent filmmaking, mid-budget movies, which is becoming more popular nowadays.
Right. Those things will exist. You're just going to have to seek them out more, is what it comes down to. You're going to have to seek them out.
I know, but it's, like you said, it's a little scary with the monopoly with Disney because, let's be honest, it is.
It is. No, it is.
And I think Hulu is their risque brand, but even still, Hulu is extremely weak. Personally, I have access to Hulu. Thank you, Dave. And there's not much on there. I don't really seek it out very often. I don't go on there to just browse through stuff. I go to Netflix. I go to Amazon Prime more than that.
It's basically the Netflix leftovers from last month, and then whatever they get. Like they have the Blumhouse films that are coming out once a month.
I'm intrigued to see what they do with that. Like if they start producing more original, like I've been talking about stuff through Hulu.
Not on Hulu. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. You're going to get the Disney experience on Disney Plus. They're not going to put a whole lot of money into Hulu. I don't expect a whole lot of risque content coming to there.
I feel like in 5 years they will.
Maybe.
It's still so early. I know
it is,
but I feel like it has to, and for the grand scheme of things to grow and progress still forward over time.
Next news story. All right, Jay, speaking of Disney Plus, there were a ton of Marvel announcements for Disney Plus and for Star Wars. So we'll start with the Mandalorian panel that I watched that came out of Celebration. Pedro Pascal was part of it. Carl Weathers was part of it. Nick Nolte is going to be part of that. Made by Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni was the showrunner for not one, but two separate Disney animated series that are much beloved, and now he is in charge of Clone Wars Season 7. But he's also an executive producer on The Mandalorian, which is going to, as we learn, take place 5 years after Return of the Jedi. It will follow a Mandalorian warrior and his adventure to chase down some MacGuffin, they won't say what, for the Bounty Hunters Guild, who Carl Weathers is in charge of, and that's what we've learned about that show. It will premiere with Disney Plus on November 12th, I think is what I said before, November 12th, and it has done everything to excite me for Star Wars moving forward. But not only with that, we also got the confirmation that there is a Hawkeye series in development, Wanda and Vision series in development, and the final confirmation that yes, they are making a Falcon, Sam Wilson, and Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier series that are all going to be coming to Disney Plus.
Ooh, boy.
Not to mention the announcement that Alan Tudyk will return as K2SO in the Rogue One Cassian Andor prequel series for Rogue One on Disney Plus. Dude,
it's getting heavy, man.
It all makes sense when you think about it for our next news story. Bob Iger, Jay, has announced that Star Wars films are going to take a little bit of a break now. After episode 9 has come out, they've decided that Star Wars might become a little bit oversaturated with so much Star Wars content coming to Disney Plus with the Clone Wars animated series, Cassian Andor prequel series, and also the Mandalorian, plus whatever else they have in development, because they ain't telling you everything yet.
And the previous disappointment was Solo.
We'll talk about Solo a little bit more, Jay, when we get to our trailer park, because our trailer park is for the Rise of the Skywalker.
Yes,
but we'll talk about that a little bit more, just a smidge.
Okay,
but that wasn't as big of a failure as everyone thinks it was. It still made the studio money.
But I mean, in their perspective,
it still
and I think in everybody else's viewpoints, it was a little too soon, and it didn't quite hit home the world that everybody loves.
But there's a ton of like news that came out here, and I think Disney is right to say I was actually happy when Iger's like, there won't be a Star Wars film in 2020. There won't be a Star Wars film in 2021, probably. We're going to take a break. It's time to... We're going to have so much other Star Wars content to whet your appetite that there is no need. Plus, not to mention, if they're releasing the films, they're cannibalizing their own startup. They're cannibalizing their Disney Plus, because for those huge Star Wars fans, for those... I'm sorry, not huge ones, but for those Star Wars fans that kind of hang out on the edge of it, who are looking in and they're like, I love the movies, but I never got into anything else. If they can continue to only get Star Wars content through movies, then there's no reason for them to join Disney Plus. But if there's no Star Wars content out there in the theaters, then people are going to have to join Disney Plus to get their Star Wars content coming directly to them.
And also all the kids. You got to think about the kids too.
Right. Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
They're going to be starting with all those movies, animated, everything, and just have free reign to just digest all the content that they want. It's fucking crazy to think
There's
about.
There's multiple layers to this, but as a fan, I'm kind of happy that we're gonna take a step back from Star Wars, because one of the biggest things,
I agree,
and we talked about
some breathing room.
We talked about it in the Game of Thrones episode. Waiting 2 years for Game of Thrones just made this fever pitch for me that was so big. You know, waiting between
it was tough, but it wasn't that bad, right?
Waiting between 1983 and 1999 to get a new Star Wars movie just built this fever pitch that was just so massive. As much as people were disappointed by the Phantom Menace initially, just leading up to it, the fan service and the fan love and everyone being excited for it is just, it's just so huge. I'm going through it right now on Good Morning Mos Eisley with Wes. You know, we're talking about like this build up that we're feeling and everything like that. And I think there's no feeling that can really replace it other than maybe the day you get married and the day you have a child. So like, I don't want to say it equals that, but like, it's up there. But it's up there, you know, like getting a new Star Wars film is like, it's a big deal, but like when you get them all the time, it doesn't feel like such a big
not
deal.
As special.
And me and you even talked about this, because after we watched the Rise of the Skywalker trailer, I made you watch the Force Awakens trailer, right?
Yes, you did.
There was much more shock and awe.
That was smart, Dave, because it did make me realize that. I mean,
that when you saw this trailer,
it's not the same kind of trailer.
It's not the same. It's not the same.
No?
It doesn't build you with the same type of anticipation. It's giving you a lot more.
It doesn't give you that Star Wars butterflies and geekdom, that, like the geeky kind of joy,
exactly,
and excitement.
Exactly. So. Next news story. David Harbour, you saw him this week in Hellboy.
I did.
And you loved every minute of him in Hellboy.
Well, that I saw. Perhaps, maybe, sort of.
He's been cast in the Black Widow film. No one knows what the role is, but Black Widow film's happening, and David Harbour is in it, baby. How do you feel about that?
A little surprised. I'm just hoping that he's not going to play like.
So here's the thing. That's
another cop with the same kind of like.
That's the thing. Like, I think
personality that he always has been having recently.
I think people see him as this extremely like funny guy, and he is.
He's dark. I listened to him on Mark Maron in the podcast, and he's been through some shit, and he's got mental issues, like legally.
Everyone knows.
He seriously has a clinical mental issue.
When you think about comedians, every great comedian always comes from a dark past. Like, you know what I mean? Like pain equals comedy. But for David Harbour, like when I watch him, I see a guy who balances that. Like when I watch Stranger Things, he cracks me up, but then he also hits me with some extreme feels, especially in the moments when he's dealing with Eleven and stuff like that. Yeah. So I'm kind of hopeful that they're not typecasting him with this role, and I hope that he's not playing, like you said, like another cop or like another comic relief type character and stuff like that. I hope he's not hamming it up for the camera like he does in Hellboy. I'm really hoping that what we're getting from him is something kind of completely different, because I think the dude's got some range that people aren't giving him credit for.
Yeah, I hope he plays a spy. Like some kind of credible spy.
I think so.
Along with Black Widow. And I think he would be able to do it. I think he's
going to be playing an American spy for S.H.I.E.L.D. and she will be a Russian spy. I think this is going to be a past story. I think it's going to be in a past.
And again, hopefully he's not like a doofus. Hopefully it's a good two-hander. Give him some respect.
At least as Hellboy, you're going to need two hands to handle him. I don't care what you say. Hellboy's still a cool character. It doesn't matter that he had a bad movie.
For sure.
We've all gotten bad movies for our favorite characters. Yeah, dude, so much news this week. So much stuff coming out. But the biggest of it is Hellboy sucks. Disney Plus is only $6.99, November 12th.
Yeah.
And more Star Wars than you can shake your two-fisted Hellboy dick at.
It's a good time to be a movie geek.
Dude, it is... That's what, like, I was talking to someone on Twitter, and they were just like, when I was talking to them about like the Star Wars trailer mainly, which we're about to get into, and they were like, "What a fucking great time to be alive!" And I was like, "Is it though?" And they were like, "No, it is." And I had to like, they actually made me think about it, because I'm a pessimistic person, right? Like I'm always I'm always prepared for the worst, and like they were just like, "No, dude, you're getting a new Star Wars movie this year." The first main storyline from the MCU is coming to a close, and we've never been more excited.
Let me ask you this: if you were your daughter's age, do you think you would have been or become the same kind of fan as you are now?
No,
I don't think it's possible.
No, there's too much.
Yeah.
There's too much. Like when I was a kid growing up,
too much available.
I latched onto like a few things here or there, like Indiana Jones, Star Wars, like Jurassic Park, like Back to the Future. Like there were things that captured my attention, but they were so few and far between that the way that.
But also, we grew with the technology too.
But the way like I grew with these films was like I didn't get another one for a while, so like I had to obsess over the one that I got for so long. Right, I had to seek out other material to like feed that need, where like today there's just so much material out there that like when I'm done with one thing I can just move on to the other one, and that's exactly the way my daughter is. I see her do it all the time, like
that's just this generation's,
right, like this week it's Charlie's Colorform City, but like last week it was Trolls, and before that it was Barbie, and then like there's something new every week with her. And like for me when I was a kid it was just like Star Wars. And then, like, my mom's like, "What do you want to watch this weekend? You're home. It's Sunday morning. It's rainy. What do you want to watch?" Star Wars. Well, we just watched Star Wars last week. Yeah, but we didn't watch all of them in a row. Let's do that. You know what I mean? Like, I had to digest these things in a way that forced me to overanalyze them just to find new ways to love them. And my daughter will never have that feeling. I don't think. And that's not like, I don't want to be like, the older millennial being like, but you kids don't know what it was like to dial your home phone number on a telephone, on a rotary dial.
But it's a fact of nature, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just nature.
Right.
I mean, it's almost impossible for them to have that kind of experience unless you force them to only watch this movie. Wait another 9 years until you get this another movie, and then you have to wait another time.
Star Wars fans, they waited 27 years to get the Phantom Menace before it came out, right?
Yeah.
My daughter will never know that. She'll never know that. She'll never know that feeling. She'll never be a fan of something fervently enough that when it comes out, she will be like, "Oh my God, it's finally here." Yeah. But to be said,
it's like me with the Before series. Every 9 years, I get another Before movie.
Every 9 years, I get another Before movie. Right? We're only now 5 years out from another one.
I think less than that.
4 years.
I think we're closer than you realize.
Yeah, we're 4 years out from a new one.
It's getting there.
They're almost there.
We'll see.
One of them's gonna get cancer in the next one, Jay.
Thanks, Dave.
The winter of life. That's what they're going to be in. Winter's coming. Anyway. That's going to do it for our news, man. We are going to get into the big reason that I made Jay stay late until 1 a.m. to record. We got to do a trailer park, man. Thomas Iannucci.
Drop that beat.
You just let Poetics explain.
Poetics, bring the drums in.
Cut the beat and let the music play. No trailer park, shout out to Dave and Jay. I don't serve, but there's a newer wave. We've been on since towards God save the right stop. I don't wanna flow until I know that the bass drop.
All right, Jay, we're here. We got Solo last year. We didn't get any new Star Wars film for 2018, really. And now we are here. We have episode 9 has been not only announced, but we had a big panel on it. People discussed it. Shit went down. Star Wars Celebration was a big fucking deal. I wasn't able to make it there this year because I need to take days off of work and spend money to go there. Chicago's not far from us though, but I still did take my lunch hour to watch all of this Star Wars panel. And if you want to go super in-depth theory-wise into episode 9, you're going to have to go check out my breakdown of this trailer with Wes from Via VHS for Good Morning Mos Eisley, because we go super deep Star Wars. So if you're that type of Star Wars fan, go over there to check it out. But if you are our type of Star Wars fan, or Jay's type of Star Wars fan, then this is our trailer park breakdown for Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker.
We've passed on all we know. 1,000 generations live in you now. But this is your fight.
Ah, man, when Luke says that, no one's ever really gone, holds two meanings for me. Carrie Fisher's never gone. She's never going away. They even found a way to, and I love this, and I said this on Good Morning Mos Eisley, but I'll say it here again. She's the only person that I know that in death can majorly change the world, because they had originally centered this movie around Leia's character. Her death really screwed that up. They had to find a new way to work this script around the scenes that they had. She still majorly influenced Star Wars, even in her death. They had to,
because they would not have done this.
No.
If they couldn't pull it off.
If they couldn't pull it off. Yeah. I don't think so. And just acknowledge that none of this is CGI. Like that moment where Rey is hugging is hugging Leia, and there's a tear rolling down Rey's cheek. That is from.
They confirmed there's no CGI.
No, there's no CGI with her. That is a deleted scene, and it's lost footage from The Force Awakens and some of it from The Last Jedi, but all of it is her, acted by Carrie Fisher, and they still hold Leia as importance in this. Secondly, no one's ever really gone. You expect that to mean Han, right? Or Luke, at least, maybe? And then you hear that laugh. So when I first saw this, I was watching the live stream of the panel.
Pretty accurate.
And Ian McDiarmid comes out, and he's the actor who plays the Emperor. He comes out and says nothing. The lights come on, and he's standing there, and he's holding a microphone, and everybody is first shocked to see Ian McDiarmid there. He says nothing else, but he puts the microphone to his lips, Jay, and he goes, "Play it again." And they play the trailer again. The lights go out and they play it again. He showed up to Celebration in Chicago all the way from England just to say, "Play it again." So no one's ever really gone. So the Emperor, no matter what, whether he's alive or whether there is some Force ghost available with him or whatever's going on with it, he has a major role in this story. And for me, I watch it and I think it's that laugh is maybe not Ian McDiarmid's in this film, maybe, or even maybe the Emperor is not a huge part of this film, but either way, some part of his legacy, some part of what he's done will have a major impact or hold some echoes of his past.
Sure, to some degree.
Also, if you play the video game Star Wars Battlefront, he actually has contingency plans to exist after his death, where he actually has robots that come around with a vid screen on them that actually give out his final orders and stuff like that. So it's possible that Rey and team have to find some artifact or come across one of his final orders and have to stop it. There's a lot of different reasons that he could be in this film, but just the fact that he's here is pretty intriguing because other than Darth Vader, he is the biggest bad, right? Like he is behind Anakin's turn. He is the catalyst or at least the puppet master that has been behind everything that has happened as we know of Star Wars.
He's just he just looks evil.
He's just so good at being it. The laugh is so perfect. Beginning of this trailer, Jay, we see Rey standing in the middle of the desert. We don't know what desert it is. Is it Tatooine? Is it Jakku? We don't know.
She looks tan. Yeah, she looks
been there for some time. She has on her belt the lightsaber, Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber, given to her by Maz Kanata, and she's rebuilt that lightsaber. And what I took that as was one of the trials of the Jedi is to build your own lightsaber. Not a lot available to her. She rebuilt one. Therefore, she has completed a trial of the Jedi. We know that she still has the books that Yoda, so the page turners, they were not, that Yoda supposedly burned in The Last Jedi, but we knew that she actually rescued them and put them on the Millennium Falcon. So she has completed a trial of the Jedi now. And she is being run down by a TIE interceptor. And who is piloting that? We do not know. However, there was a screenshot that was put out of Kylo Ren flying in a cockpit, and we see the red background of that cockpit. It looks very similar to it. I'm not saying Kylo Ren's flying it. I'm just saying the cockpit that he was in.
It's a big set piece, though. It could be.
It could be.
It could be.
We're also seeing like a little bit of display of Rey's growing prowess. So for all of you who called her a Mary Sue, she's actually having to learn to use the Force in a much greater way at this point. And man, we get a lot of imagery in here. We get Kylo Ren using one of his cross guards there to stab a random baddie in the stomach. And
that was really cool. A
lot of people think that's a Knight of Ren. I don't think so. I think that is the First Order enacting their tyranny over the galaxy by invading planets.
I think the music throughout the whole trailer was very, moving, but also I think they went with the route of bittersweet because they even said it's the end. towards the end. This is it. So I think they went with that musical route. They didn't go with like for example, what you showed me, the Force Awakens.
It wasn't
teaser.
classic Star Wars.
It wasn't classic Star Wars vibe. It was that bittersweet thing. Like,
no, it was,
look at our characters.
What it was
this is where they're at now, and then also
what I noticed
chapter.
about the score is the crescendo of a score. It is the big reveal of a score. Like when a score is muted and it comes in low, and then it hits you with that bum bum.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
The entire
it's well
theme was that, and it was very loud. It was it was very ever present. That this isn't a build up. This is the end. This is the crescendo. This is what they've been building towards, and they really want to sell you on that. And so other than that, we get the images on the screen that says every generation has a legend. Those are the same words that appeared in 1998 when the trailer for The Phantom Menace came out. I guess it would have been 1999 that the trailer for that released, and that was coming out. And every generation has a legend. Anakin was the legend. Luke was the legend. She's now the legend. And that's, for me, like, just seeing those words, I was like, all right, they're building towards something here. There's something here with so much more meaning towards the Star Wars galaxy and the Star Wars universe than we could probably possibly imagine. So it's a pretty big deal. But we also get the voiceover of Luke in that scene where 1,000 generations of Jedi exist in you, and his narration continues throughout it. And what I got from his narration though was, remember the last movie, the past has to die, let it go, burn it if you have to. But this trailer seems completely reverent of the past. Images of skiffs flying over the desert remind me of Return of the Jedi. We get an image of the Death Star, for Christ's sakes, Jay, and wreckage of it.
Sure, but it was really, really cool looking. It was a good scope.
Super cool looking. And a lot of people are wondering whether that Death Star imagery, is it Yavin? Is it the first Death Star? Is it the second Death Star? A lot of people feel it's the second Death Star because there was some concept art that came out long before The Force Awakens came out of someone swimming underwater into the Emperor's throne room and stuff like that. So there's this idea that this is built off of George Lucas's original story for Episode 7, and that they are, whatever MacGuffin they're going for is inside the throne room of the Death Star. But that would mean, if it's a throne room, that it's the Death Star 2, and that is the forest moon of Endor. Or, as I said on Mos Eisley pod, on Good Morning Mos Eisley, that it's possible, since Endor was a forest moon, there are other moons to Endor, and the wreckage could have fallen on any one of them, but it still could be Endor. But let's just move away from that, because that's all huge speculation.
Right.
We're seeing a lot of like desert footage here, and one of the things like I noticed was like Finn, while he has a new outfit, an outfit that's completely his own, he's not wearing Poe's jacket anymore, but he still is carrying a vestige of his past. He's carrying Rey's staff. He has Rey's staff in his hand. That's his weapon.
Well, just solidifies he's her bitch. Yeah.
I think it solidifies his identity as a character in a way where he never had an identity until he met these two people.
That's true. I know.
And that's really what it's reminiscent of.
And he still has a lot of growing to do. And,
he does.
I think his story arc is going to be, I hope,
he said
a lot better than
he said on the panel. This is the first time you're going to see Finn taking things into his own hands.
Good.
Like he's going to be doing things that are as much as it's Rey's story, it's also his story. It's also Poe's
I think
story.
so as well.
They are for the first time splitting this story together. They're all going to be on this journey together.
Good.
And I think that's a big deal. I think it's a big deal because that's the one thing.
Hopefully they do it justice.
That's the one thing we've been lacking, right? Like in A New Hope, it was Han, Luke, and Leia escaping the Death Star. Death Star blows up. But in The Force Awakens, it was Finn and Rey, right? Like Poe was on the outside, and then in The Last Jedi, It was Finn and Poe, and then Rey had her own thing going. They've never been together. They've never had an adventure together. But these are our three main leads. These are our Han, Luke, and Leia for the story, and we've never gotten them all together. In fact, Poe only just met Rey at the end of The Last Jedi. Like, that's when he first saw her face. That's when he first knew who she was. So, for them to be together is kind of like a big deal. This is their final showdown with everything. The one final image a few more final images I want to discuss with this trailer. We see, I don't even want to say Leia's hands, but we see hands that look feminine and old, hence could be Leia's, holding the medal that was given to Luke and Han after the first Death Star on Yavin.
Sure.
When I see that, the first thing I think was, God, she better give that medal to Chewbacca, because hasn't motherfucker owned it by now? Hasn't he earned it by now? Like, hasn't motherfucker
he earns more respect.
Yeah,
and hopefully he gets it. He gets something.
Hasn't he earned that shit by now? Give that shit to, come on. Family Dog done.
But
his
it's nice
job.
that they're tying in the first movie.
It is.
You know?
They're tying in everything here. What I feel
obviously, but I mean, hopefully a little bit of everything.
And this trailer was also tons of rumors about it. Tons of people talking about it. Will Billy D. Williams be back as Lando? We get it here. Confirmation.
He's back.
In the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon, flying it with Chewbacca next to him, taking over
gleefully,
much in the way that he did in Return of the Jedi when he flew the Millennium Falcon. The only thing I got to know about Billy D's appearance here was, A, did he raid all of Donald Glover's wardrobe? Because the wardrobe he's wearing is exactly the same as in Solo. It is the yellow shirt with the same cape. Like, he looks exactly in the same outfit that he was in, minus the scarf.
Nothing wrong with that.
From Solo. No, I mean that tells new fans, like that's who this is. Like, that's how you know that's who this is. Secondly, does Lando travel with Plan B pills? Because I feel like just him being here, he's already impregnated half the galaxy.
Damn straight he has.
That's what I wonder when I see Lando. And I'm just like, we also on the
where's
panel,
that dick been?
on the panel at Celebration, there is Naomi Aki, and everyone has been wondering whether she is Lando's daughter. People have been wondering that, like whether she is. She refused to kind of answer the question, and she says, "Who knows? Lando is a playboy. He could have many kids across the galaxy."
Good response.
A little cheeky, but I do think she's Lando's daughter. I think they're going to complete this generational gap with her and bring our major players all together and their children, and we're all going to move forward. But Jay, let's talk about this name. Let's talk about this title, The Rise of Skywalker. Who's rising? Who's the Skywalker that's rising? Is Kylo going to turn to the good? Will he be the Skywalker that rises? We know his last name's technically Solo, but his mom is also a Skywalker, even though she's always gone by Organa. Will he take on the Skywalker name to allow that lineage to move forward? Is Skywalker Rey? Is Rey's lineage secretly hidden in the Skywalkers? Is she a relative of Skywalkers in some way? Is she a relative of Palpatine? What Skywalker is rising?
I think it's everybody. I think it's just the idea, the myth of it all.
In a way,
the
I
idea
think
of
you're
it
right.
all. And I think there's something in lineage with that.
The big
more
rumor,
than anything.
The big rumor is that Skywalker will no longer be just a name. It will no longer be just a legend. There will no longer be Jedi. We know the Jedi are dead. It's time for the Jedi to end. We heard it all throughout The Last Jedi. And The Last Jedi may have been Luke, and Rey is not a Jedi. Rey may be a Skywalker, a new form of Jedi. Like, and they will move forward.
She very well could be.
And they will call themselves the Skywalkers. And it's very possible. But I think it's also very possible that the Rise of the Skywalker could be very similar to Return of the Jedi, which the Return of the Jedi was Anakin returning and taking on, being the chosen one and destroying the Emperor, destroying evil by allowing himself to die and killing the Emperor. It could be that the Rise of the Skywalker is Kylo reclaiming his name or the good side. He could return. There's a lot of different things. Like, it's amazing that this trailer gives us so much to geek over, but gives us nothing story wise. I love it. I absolutely love it.
It is in that regard. It's very good.
But
absolutely,
after I showed you the Force Awakens trailer,
it's better.
It's way better.
It's way better.
It's way better. It's
but
just
again,
that's all feels like that's all heart. It just reminds you, Star Wars is a feeling. It is it is a verb almost.
But again,
it's it's an adjective.
Right. But what we saw in the trailer looked breathtaking. Everything looked fantastic.
It did.
The CGI looked great. The actors looked great. The action looked great. It looks like it's going to be still, again, a lot of fun, a lot of new things to see, a lot of things to tie up, and can't wait. Can't wait. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. December. That's all we got to wait. Just
a lot of good stuff in the middle, though.
Just 8 more months.
Just leading up to that.
8 more months. So that's going to do it for Super Movie Brothers tonight. We're obviously super excited about all the news that came out this week.
Definitely.
Sorry for a little bit of our humdrum attitude. It is now 1:10 in the morning as we're recording this. We did 2 episodes tonight. We drank.
We're normally done 2 hours ago.
2 hours ago. So there's just so much content this week. There's just so much that we want to comment on it, but we want to comment on it in a timely manner. By next week, there'll be something else to comment on. Who knows? So, double episodes this week. I want to thank all of you guys for listening, sticking through it with us. And if you have any comments for anything that was said in this episode, you want to talk to us about the Rise of the Skywalker, reach out to us at Super Movie Pod on Twitter or Super Movie Bros Podcast on Facebook. You can also check out our deeper thoughts on all this Star Wars stuff over at Good Morning Mose Eisley with me and Wes. We do have a full trailer breakdown there. We also get more in depth into all the Star Wars series. So if you're a big Star Wars fan, make sure you're checking out that. We also have a sponsor for our show. Our sponsor is Blowfish. You can check them out at 4hangovers.com. Promo code SMBFish. Get your 15% off. I am going to need some. Thank God they sent us some free samples. I'm going to need some tomorrow for sure. And of course, we are part of the Podfix Network. You can check out Podfix Network at podfixnetwork.com. Check out all the shows that are part of the Podfix Network over there. And of course, thank you all for listening. Have a great night. Cheers.
Cheers.